Assalamualaikum. For chapter 6, we will learn about the employee training and development. The learning outcomes of this chapter are: first, the student should be able to describe the scope of organizational training programs, specify the goals and staffing requirements for organizational training programs. Third one is student can explain the pre-training environment and attribute of employees as well as conditions that facilitate learning. Next, you can understand the need for lifelong learning, career development and planning. And the last one, students should be able to appreciate the necessity for evaluation of training programs and why many organizations don't evaluate their programs. So what is employee training? Employee training is a planned effort by an organization to facilitate the learning, retention, and transfer of job-related behavior. So when this training will be conducted, this training will be conducted throughout the career, because in most organizations, training is not limited to new employees, but various type of training and development programs offered throughout an employee's career. So, and what is specific areas of this employee training included? First is about the new employer orientation, employee retraining and continuing education, retirement planning and career development, and also training for workers for international business. Organizations need to provide for the wide variety of training needs of workers to stay competitive. So, organizations spends billions on training their employees because this training have added value, such as it can increasing the employee competence and performance. It can increasing the employee motivation, and also it can increasing employee adjustment and well-being. So but sometimes the training also can become not always effective, because training first is for the wrong thing, given to the wrong people, and also uses the wrong methods. This is a picture about how is the training should be conducted. So what is the flows of the training itself? A successful training program should begin by assessing training needs. Okay, in other words, the organization must first have some idea of what workers need to know to perform their job. And also the next step is to set the objective. Okay, the objective here means that what is the goal for the training is supposed to accomplish. So the next so about this training objective, this is need to be specific and related to the measurable outcomes, because training objectives are used both to set a course for the training program and to help later in determining if the training was indeed successful. Okay, that is the important. That is the important of why we have to set the objective. And the next step is to design the training itself. The training program involves the development and testing of the training material. A variety of factors must be taken into account in developing the training material, okay, such as trainees' educational and skill level, whether the training material focuses on the areas that are directly related to the successful job performance, and what training methods will provide the best cost benefit. Okay, so it is also important that training materials be thoroughly tested before they are put into regular use. Okay, and then the next step is the actual implementation of the training program itself. So how you can conduct the training. Okay, so that is important consideration in this implementing the training program is include when and how often the training will take place. Okay, who will conduct the training, the assignment of trainees to session, and where the training will be conducted. Okay, and the last step is the final step is the evaluation of the training program to determine if the training was effective. So this step involves a detailed analysis of whether the training objectives were met and whether the training translates into trainees using the newly learned behaviors on the job. Okay, so we proceed with the first step for conducting the training is need assessment. So in this step, you're determining what training should be done. Okay, should be done. And the major methods that we can use to assess the needs is first is job analysis. This is where the KSA or is necessary for the job. And then the critical incidents, based on critical incidents, example, the hospital incident reports, right? And also the performance, based on the performance appraisal, this is can be part of the performance management system. Okay, you can see this from the chapter of the previous chapter about the performance appraisal. And the last one is based on the employee surveys. Okay, so this is the major method that you can use when you want to identify the need assessment of the training that should be conducted. The second one is the training program design principles. So this is how well does learning transfer from the training situation to the actual work environment. Okay, so this is because training transfer is influenced by the degree of similarity between the training task and the actual job task. So the most useful training programs directly address the actual tasks that are performed on the job. So the principle is like the feedback necessary for learning, receiving feedback and reinforcement for achieving training goals also positively affect the training transfer. Next one is general principles, where here is we have to cover the basic principle that involved in the training. So next is identical elements. So in this design principle, it have to cover between the training and also job situation have to be similar. Okay, and then overlaying practice, is it want to make as a whole or part training, whole situation in the job situation or part. So this is depends on the complexity. Next is about distributed or space versus mass. So here we can see that we can say that the distributed is better compared than mass. Okay, and then have to consider also the ability and also the motivation. And last one is the supportive environment that increases the motivation. Transfer of training to the job is one of the key issues in the success of training programs. So we must take care to see that learning achieved during the training session actually transfer to new behavior at the work site. So how well does this learning transfer from the training situation to the actual work environment? So because training transfer is influenced by the degree of similarity between the training task and the actual job task, the most useful training programs directly address the actual tasks that are performed on the job. So positive transfer of learned tasks has been found to be maximized when there are identical stimulus and response elements found in the training and in job situation. So from this trainee characteristic, trainee design and work environment, the workers will learn will learn from this training situation, and then it will be transferred to new behavior at the work site. The last step in flow of training program is the evaluation of the training program. So this is another crucial component of any employee training program. So it will evaluate, is it the training effective or not. So for there is no use in investing money and resource in training program unless they do indeed work. So the criteria to know that is it the training is successful or not, there is ultimate versus the actual. Okay, so the first one is the training criteria is reaction and also learning. Okay, so the reaction criteria is measure of the impression of trainees, including their assessment of the program's value, the amount of learning they receive, and their enjoyment of the program. So these criteria are usually assessed via training evaluation rating survey that given to trainees immediately after training session or workshop. So this is very important to note that reaction criteria don't measure whether any learning has taken place. Rather, they assess the trainee's opinion about the training and their learning. Okay, the next one is criteria is the learning. Okay, this learning criteria, it measures of the amount of learning that has taken place. So typically this take the form of some sort of test assessing the amount of information retained from the program. Okay, and next is based on the performance criteria. So based on the performance criteria is divided into two. The first one is behavioral criteria. So it measures of the amount of newly learned skills displayed once the trainee has returned to the job. So this is actually basically is observational method of measurement that are typically used to assess the behavioral criteria, with supervisor recording the use of newly learned behavior. And next one is result criteria. So this is usually is measure the outcomes that are important to the organization, such as the increased training work output as expressed by production rate, dollar sales figures, or quality of work. Okay, and then based on design of evaluation studies. So based on design of evaluation studies, first one is post-test only design. So this is simply measure criteria following the completion of training. Okay, but this doesn't tell us anything conclusive about its effectiveness because we have no basis for any sort of comparison. Okay, so the post-test only design is a program evaluation that very simple to measure the training success criterion. Okay, and then the second one is pre-test and post-test design. So for the pre-test and post-test design, this is a design for evaluating a training program that makes a comparisons of criteria measures collected before and after the introduction of the program. And the last one is based on the control group. Okay, so the control group here, we also known this control group as a Solomon 4 group design. So this is a method of program evaluation using 2 treatment groups and 2 control groups. Okay, so here we can see this figure is the step for do the evaluation of the training programs. So the first one, we have to develop a criteria based on the previous criteria that I have explained before, and then we choose how we design the method, and then what kind of the measurement type that we choose to measure the evaluation rate. And also then after we design this one, so we do the data collection, and last one we can analyze and then interpret the result of the evaluation of the training program. Organizations are becoming more and more aware of the need for greater attention to the development and planning of employees' career. So, if we helping the workers plan their career, it can help lead to a more productive, more satisfied, and more more loyal workforce. Okay. So many organizations have developed formal career development system. So this will benefit all parties involved, including for the workers, the manager, and also the organization. So here you can see the benefit of career development system for each of the parties. Yeah, so you can read for all this benefit, yeah, later on. Next is about the fundamental issues in employment training. So an understanding of learning theories is fundamental in the design of employee training programs. So this is a number of key issues that are related to training program effectiveness. Previously I have explained a little bit detail about this one in the previous slides. First one is transfer of training. It's how learning translates into use of newly learned behavior on the job. And then about the trainee readiness. So this is more on the job characteristic of the trainees and how training programs are structured and conducted. So this is the three important key issues that are related to the training program effectiveness. Okay, so next I will explain more detail in terms of a model for a successful training program. Okay, so the organization level of need analysis consider issues that such as the long and short-term organizational goals and their implication for the training, the available training resources, and the general climate for training. So that is the workers and supervisor commitment to participation in the training program. So in addition, organizational analysis is considered training needs that are the result of internal and external factors affecting the organization. For example, the introduction of a new manufacturing system and technology that would require the organization to plan the kind of technical skill, managerial skill, and also the support that workers will need to use the new machine and processes. So this is the level of the organization analysis. Okay, and second one is task analysis. So in this task analysis is concerned with the knowledge, skill, and abilities and other characteristics, KSAOS, that are workers that requires to perform a specific job effectively. So the starting point for obtaining this information is the job description derived from a detailed job analysis. Okay, and the next and most difficult step involves translating the specific task requirement of the job into the basic component of knowledge and skill that can be incorporated into a training program. Okay, the next level The next one, is based on this person analysis of employee training needs. Examine the current capabilities of the workers themselves to determine who need what sort of training. So this person analysis usually relies on workers' deficiencies outlined in performance appraisal for incumbent workers and information derived from employee selection data, such as screening tests for new workers. Okay, and another important source of information is job incumbent self-assessment of training need, which may also help build employee commitment to the training program. It also has been suggested that training need analysis may have to be conducted on a fourth level, which is the demographic analysis. Okay, a demographic analysis, involves determining the specific training needs of various demographic groups, such as women and men, and certain ethnic minorities, and workers of different age brackets. As you can see in this figure, so this is a model for successful employee training programs. So it will, the first step, it will start with the assess training needs, then establish the training objectives, develop and test training materials, implement training program, and last one is evaluate the training programs. Okay, so the second step is establishing the training objective, and the third step focuses on the selecting employee training method. So what is the method that you will use to do training, and the various training method can be broken down into two general categories. So the first one is on-site methods, and the second one is off-site methods. Okay, so the first method for the training program is, the first one is on-site methods. So for this on-site training methods may be further divided into several categories, including on-the-job training, apprenticeships, festival training, and job rotation. So on-the-job training is one of the oldest and most widely used training methods. So this on-the-job training consists simply of putting an inexperienced workers in the workplace and having a more experienced worker teach that person about the job. Okay, so this technique relies on principle of modeling, with the apprentice workers serving as the role model. Okay, and for the method of the apprenticeships, is more long term. So this is one of the on-site method, divided into vestibular training. So this vestibular training is a model training using professional trainers and hands-on experience. For this apprenticeship, this is a skilled trade profession that like the carpentry, printing, masonry, and plumbing. So this is usually use a very old type of this training program, apprenticeship. This is a training technique that usually lasting several years, that combines on-the-job experience with classroom instruction. Okay, so the next one is job rotation. So this is a training technique designed to broaden workers' experience. Okay, next is off-site methods. So this training take place in a setting other than the actual workplace uses off-site methods because of the greater flexibility and also the control over the situation they afford. Off-site methods are more varied and diverse than the on-site technique. So in this off-site methods, there are some methods that categorize under the off-site methods, which is like the seminars. Okay, for the seminars is a very common method for the employee training, and it is more familiar maybe to the student for the seminar. So this is typically involves some expert providing job related information orally in a classroom setting, like our lecture, okay, like lecture. And then for next is audio visual instruction. So this is uses a video live, conference live, or web-based slide presentation, and also closed circuit television to train the workers. Okay, so this is in audio visual instruction. Okay, next is a technique that use both audio visual technology and also concept of social learning theory. So this is behavior modeling training. So this behavior model training is based on social learning theory, that trainees are exposed to videotape or live role models, okay, displaying both appropriate and inappropriate work behavior, as well as their successful or unsuccessful outcome. So trainees will allot an opportunity to try to replicate and practice the positive work behavior. Okay. Some of research indicate that behavior modeling training is used correctly can effectively improve employee job performance. So for this behavior, also you will learn about behavior based safety in another course. This is also very interesting for interesting subject, behavior based safety. So maybe next you will learn more further about this behavior modeling training under subject behavior based safety. Okay, so next is simulation technique. So this simulation training is a method of replicating job condition to instruct employees in proper work operation without actually putting them in the job setting. Okay, like astronaut, okay, or pilots, nuclear power plant operators. So this is example of simulation training. For the training method under this simulation technique. And next is the program instruction. So this is more on the self-paced individualized training, in which trainees are provided with training materials and can test how much they have learned. Okay, so when the test answers are substantially correct, the trainee is instructed to move on the next unit. So if the questions are answered incorrectly, some review of the previous unit is required. So most of the student guides that accompany college textbook are example of program instruction. Some of the benefit of this program instruction is that it is more efficient, because individuals proceed at their own pace, and that is provides immediate feedback. Okay, so a modern and sophisticated version of the program instruction is computer assisted instruction. So for this program instruction delivered by computer that adapts to the trainee's learning rate. Okay. So this system is offer flexibility to change and update the instructional programs continually. Okay, so this is an example of the program instruction. Okay, so this is several specific methods and technique used in management training, include the problem solving case studies. So under problem solving case studies, a management training technique that presents a real or hypothetical organizational problem that trainees attempt to solve. Next is about the role playing. For role playing, a management training exercise that requires trainees to act out problem situation that often occur at work. Okay. Next is management games. So management games is a management training technique that using scale down enactment of the operation and management of organization. So all of which involve simulation of actual management situation. Okay, so next is action learning. So for this action learning, this is involved type of management team that assemble to work on a company related problem or issue to learn by doing. So this is a complicated form of training that perform a special project or assignment that benefit to the organization. Okay. So next one is 360-degree feedback. So for this, this is a little bit very popular in management development using this 360-degree feedback. So this is a multi-source, multi-perspective and performance appraisal method that we discussed. We already discussed also this in about the 360-degree feedback in the previous chapter. Okay. So this 360-degree feedback can be an effective management development tool, but only if the manager is open to and accepting of the potential critical feedback. Okay. Okay, next is mentoring. Mentoring is a management training program in which an inexperienced worker is assigned to an experienced mentor who serves as a role model. So this is about the mentoring. So a process by which experienced workers develop a relationship with an experienced worker to promote the former's career development. And next is coaching. Coaching is one-on-one relationship where a consultant helps an executive improve performance. So this is a high-level executive leader, okay, that are making greater use of executive coach. Next is once training program that have been implemented is the evaluation of their effectiveness is very important. The evaluation of a training program should first outline the criteria that indicate the program success and also develop the means for measuring these criteria. So this is the 4 types of effectiveness of training program. The first one is reaction criteria, learning criteria, behavior criteria, and result criteria. I already explained this criteria in our previous research under the explanation about the step or flow of the training program under the evaluation step, evaluation training program step. The important question in the evaluation program is whether any measured changes in criteria are indeed the result of training. So the method used in the proper evaluation of training program are those used to determine the effectiveness of any other type of program introduced into an organization. For a formal evaluation to demonstrate conclusively that training has caused certain outcomes, it should be based on experimental design. But unfortunately, many evaluations use what might be called pre-experimental design, which don't follow for proper assessment. So, one example is first is pre-test, post-test design. Okay, this is a common means of assessing a program in which measure of criteria are collected both before and after a training intervention that allowing for a comparison of changes in learning or work behavior. I also already explained this a little bit in the beginning. So however, this method is inadequate because of the lack of a good comparison group. Better evaluation designs use both a training group and a comparison or control group that is not subjected to the training program. A very complex and sophisticated evaluation design is the Solomon 4 group design, which uses 2 training groups and 2 control groups. This is the picture, the conclusion or compilation of the 4 methods for evaluation of training program that we have learned and I have explained before. So you can see here the differences between the post-test only, pre-test, post-test, and also pre-test, post-test with a control group, and Solomon 4 group design. So you can see here what is the differences between these 4 methods in terms of the evaluation of the training program. So for post-test only, there is only training and post-test evaluation. Pre-test, post-test, you should do the evaluation before and after the training. Pre-test, post-test with a control group, you have to have a control group for the and take the pre-test and post-test also between the take the evaluation pre-test and post-test. And also this one with the group, that training group, that also have the pre-test and post-test evaluation that you can compare between the training group and control group. Meanwhile, for Solomon 4 group design, there are 4 groups here. So there are training group A. There is for training group A, you should do the evaluation for the pre-test and post-test training. For training group B, they also have to do you have to do the evaluation also pre-test and post-test. And training group C is you give them the training and you just do the evaluation for the post-test only. And control group D is only post-test evaluation. Okay? So this is the differences between these 4 methods for the evaluation training program. Okay, so that's all for this chapter. Inshallah, we will meet again in another chapter. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.